Thank you, Clywyd. And can I also thank the committee and chair for producing this report. One of the most striking features of this report was the uncovering of how complicated and disjointed the childcare funding system is. We all know how important early years learning and support is to the long-term educational and job prospects of a child, and yet it feels that the very system designed to help them is actually stopping some of those most in need from accessing it. The sad truth is that it appears the Welsh Government has known of this for some time, and that after the initial inquiry 2 years ago, very little has been done, and I think this speaks volumes to the due regard the Welsh Government gives to childcare provision. This lack of action falls squarely on the shoulders of the ministers and cabinet secretaries responsible, who have failed to prioritise reorganising childcare provision, and I believe we need more accountability. I recognise that the government has only accepted in principle to making a commitment to consolidating funding streams, based on the view that it is costly and complex to simplify. However, I do not accept this argument. This government has spent 25 years systematically complicating this funding stream. You have at your disposal all the information you need, and it would not be too onerous a task to redesign this funding system. I'm fearful these words are no more than an empty gesture to appease the committee and will yet again be followed up with a failure to act. This report emphasises the need for more funding into the childcare centre. I was particularly troubled that almost 80% of childcare suppliers expect to close within 2 years if they do not receive an uplift in the hourly rate per child of between 20 and 60% of the current level. On top of this, 92% of parents feel that childcare costs are disproportionately high compared to their salaries. The fact that the report also highlights the speed of the Welsh Government response is of great concern. It has been noted that early years funding was transferred in the previous budget to fund other priorities, instead of using it to support the struggling childcare sector. So let's put this picture together. What we have is a scenario whereby childcare providers simply do not have enough money to keep going, alongside a majority of parents who are struggling to already pay childcare costs. And then a Welsh Government who has no sense of urgency in addressing this and is happy to divert funding away from early years provision. This is telling families that the Welsh Government simply doesn't care. We know that child poverty is at a record high in Wales, and that Wales has the highest levels out of all nations in the UK. In this chamber, we talk about how to get the Welsh economy moving to create jobs to lift families out of poverty. We talk about improving transport links and all these other schemes to get people into work. However, it is clear that the Welsh Government doesn't recognise that people still need to look after their children, and if the costs of childcare are too high, it doesn't pay to go to work when all they're doing is working to pay for someone else to look after their children. Finally, I want to mention disabled children and those with additional learning needs. We have to acknowledge the provision is wholly inadequate. I'm not surprised to hear evidence that there's a culture of a fear of getting it wrong, unsuitable settings, staff shortages with skills needed, and difficulties during school holidays and providing wraparound care. I appreciate it that there is likely to always be difficulty in providing care for a child, especially those with complex needs. What we need is a system that consistently builds in capacity for disabled children and those with learning needs, rather than a system that has to react. This can be done. The Welsh Government should set out a long-term funding plan, which will give confidence to the sector to train and make provision for those specific needs. We believe Wales to be a nation of sanctuary for refugees. Why can it not be a nation of sanctuary for those with disabilities as well? Thank you.